Hi guys, welcome to the shop. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 most important tools that you need to get started in knife making. These are all going to be budget friendly tools, by the way. I'm not going to talk about any super high-end grinders or milling machines or anything. These are all inexpensive tools that you can pick up for knife making. And on my list I have one of the most important tools that you have to have for knife making. I've watched a lot of videos out there and I have never seen any knife maker on YouTube or Google talk about this tool, so stick around guys. Number 5 on the list is a drill press. A very important tool in the knife making shop. You can either use a drill press, which would help you keep your holes at 90 degrees, or you can use just a normal standard hand drill. Most people have a cordless drill laying around. You can use that as long as you're careful keeping your holes 90 degrees to your material. This ranks in as number 5 on my top 5 knife making tools. Number 4 on my list is the vise. This is a must-have, guys. Obviously, you don't need some monster vise like this. I think this guy here weighs over 300 pounds. Nope, you'll be lucky to have something like that. Most people are going to start with a Harbor Freight vise, and that's just fine. I also have this really cool foot vise right here. This is cool for blacksmithing and things like that. It is a foot-operated vise, and that's really handy when you have your hands full of hot material. The foot vise is pretty cool. And then we have my favorite style vise. This is a post vise. This is another blacksmithing vise that has a leg that goes all the way to the ground. That's why it's a post vise or a leg vise. And this is made to take the inertia of being hit with a hammer. So when it comes to the vise, if I could only have one single vise in my shop, it would be this blacksmithing post vise right here. I absolutely love it. I think it's the most versatile vise here. The vise comes in at number 4 on my list. It is not an absolute necessity. You could possibly clamp your work to a workbench. It's much more difficult and not nearly as convenient, but you could do it without a vise. I think that the vise makes your life much easier, and that's why it made it on number 4 spot of my most used tools for knife making. Hi guys, I'm Aaron with Aleeknives, and I like to make knives and videos about knives. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to my channel, stick around for a while, and enjoy the content. For number 3 on the list, I have the file. When it comes down to knife making, ultimately you'll be removing metal. So what better tool to use to remove metal than a tool that's made to remove metal? The file. It's an amazing tool, guys. They come in all different shapes and sizes. They have rounds, they have half rounds, they have flat files, they have needle files, they have these really neat tapered files that I found at a local store that are super cool. When you're using files, you're definitely going to want to have a file card, and this is used to clean the swarf out of the teeth of the file to keep them nice and sharp. Files are an incredibly important part of knife making. I use them on every single build in the shop, and that's how come they've made it to spot number 3. Number 2 on my list is the angle grinder. This is an absolute love-hate affair right here. I absolutely hate using this tool. It scares me. So, you know, I do run it with and without the guard, depending on what I'm doing. I really shouldn't have a cut-off wheel without a guard, but I do like to run it without the guard when I'm using these grinding discs or these flap wheels. Because of the way that you use the grinder, I feel that the guard kind of gets in my way when I want to get into some inside corners. You know, that's neither here nor there. I would never endorse anybody using this tool without a guard. I've seen many injuries with that. With that being said, this tool is indispensable for removing material. It's excellent for cutting stock, for removing excess material on your stock while knife making. You can do all the processes of knife making with nothing more than this. You can make a beautiful knife with flap discs, a cutoff wheel, and a grinding disc. You can make the entire knife without even a drill press. I've seen it done with just this one single tool. In fact, in an upcoming video, I believe that I will make a knife for you with nothing more than just an angle grinder. Number 2 on the list, angle grinder. I told you guys I wasn't going to tell you you needed a grinder, and that's the case. I like my vertical and my horizontal grinder, and I built a homemade disc sander here that's variable speed. Do you need these? No. Do they make your life easier? Yes. You don't need these. They didn't make my top 5, but I'll tell you what, if you are interested in one of these grinders and you don't want to pay $2,000 for one, I'm going to put a link below over to Houseworks. This guy over here, he builds a do-it-yourself kit called the Revolution Grinder. Super cool. And you'll pay half the price to get into a grinder if you're interested. Number 5, the drill press or hand drill. Pretty indispensable tool, guys. You pretty much have to have one if you want to drill holes in it. If you're into blacksmithing, you could heat up your steel and drift a hole, but that's a whole new thing. Most people are going to start with stock removal. So then we moved on to number 4, which was the vise. There are many different types of vices that you can have in your shop. I suggest you start with something cheap that you can bolt down to your bench, probably something from Harbor Freight or something like that. But I would suggest if you like that blacksmithing vise, you could jump on your local Craigslist. Generally, you can find those for about 100, 150 bucks, and you'll like that vise quite a bit if you get a good one. Then we moved on to number 3, which was the hand files. The hand files are indispensable in a knife shop. Absolutely have to have them. Files are very inexpensive. You can buy used files. You can buy lots of them on eBay. You can buy, files in estate sales and things like that. So just keep your eyes open for some files. You can buy them brand new from the hardware store if you want to. Harbor Freight does sell files, but they're so-so. And then we went to number 2, which was the angle grinder. I think the angle grinder is one of the most indispensable tools in the knife shop. You could do so many things with an angle grinder. You can build a complete knife from start to finish with an angle grinder without even having a drill press. And I know that raises some questions with some of you, but don't worry, I've got future plans for an angle grinder only build video. So stick around for that. And that brings us to the number 1 most important tool in the knife shop, and that is right here. I know, don't think it's cheesy, but it's absolutely the truth. Your mind is the most important tool in the shop. You see, when you start making knives, you're going to find that it's problem solving. The entire process of making knives is problem solving. From the very start to the finish, you're solving a problem. When you go to grind your first bevel, you're going to grind it, it's going to be wonky, and you're going to have to figure out what made it wonky. You're going to have to use your eyes and your ears and your senses and connect all the dots in your brain to figure out what you're doing and how to manipulate that stock to get the results that you're looking for. You're constantly going to be solving problems in your mind, whether it's how you installed your handle scales or how you didn't profile the profile at 90 degrees so you get some kind of washed out lines, or how your bevels don't line up on each side. Every single knife, you're going to figure something out, you're going to learn it, and you're going to store that right there so that the next knife is a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I haven't made the same mistake twice, because I'd be lying to you. Some of those things, you're just going to pick up along the way. Some things come sooner than others. But don't sit there on your couch and watch these videos and say, I can't get into knife making because I don't have thousands of dollars to invest in tools. Because that's not the case. You don't have to have these grinders or this milling machine or the metal lathe or any of that other junk to make knives. I started with nothing more than a couple of files and a torch to heat a knife with. Not a big deal, guys. Definitely, you can purchase all the tools that I listed on this video for under $100 at Harbor Freight. You can get yourself an angle grinder, some files, a bench vise, all that stuff, even a hand drill, all for under $100 total at Harbor Freight, and you can get started. You can make a really nice knife. There's nothing stopping you. And I make tutorial videos, so if this is your first time here and you want to jump over there and check out some of those tutorials on how to make your first knife, please do. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.